Hey, St. Luke's, this Sunday we will be kicking off our new series called Story, the Deepest Things We Know. During this spring and summer, I led some storyline groups, and we gathered in living rooms kind of like this. And we shared our stories with one another. We shared our stories of finding God in our lives and where we come from and where we are now. And we searched for those places and things to where God is calling us, and those places to where we might make a difference in the world. So starting this Sunday, we are bringing the living room into the sanctuary for 5 weeks. And we will start from the beginning. I am convinced that almost everyone's story, even if you're not a religious person or you've had no religious upbringing, I'm convinced we can trace our stories back to Genesis, that book in the Bible, the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible. We can trace our stories back to Genesis 1 or back to Genesis 2 and 3. And where we begin our stories matters. If we begin our stories in Genesis chapters 2 and 3, and you might remember the story of Adam and Eve being created and Adam and Eve eating of the fruit and Adam blaming his wife Eve and then ultimately getting kicked out of the garden. If we start our stories there, then our primary problem becomes the removal of sin. How do we get rid of this sin in our lives, in the world? And then our primary concern, our highest allegiance to this story, becomes one of evacuation. How do we get out of this bad place and into that good place? And you'll see all kinds of rules prescribed or steps on when you die, how you get to this better place of heaven. But if we start our stories in Genesis chapter 1, that story of God creating the world and God looking at the world and everything God had created and saying, this is good. Even saying, this is really good. You see, if we start our stories there, then our primary concern becomes one of redemption, renewal, and restoration. It's asking the question, how do we restore shalom? That ancient Hebrew idea of wholeness and healing and well-being and wholeness. How do we get back there? And it's not about escape and evacuation, but it's about becoming those kind of people and living those kinds of stories of bringing heaven down to earth, creating with God something that's better right here, right now. So I hope you join us, not just this Sunday, but for the rest of the series. Each of the 5 Sundays, we have these courageous storytellers. These are people that have come right from this community of St. Luke's. I have asked them to share a piece of their story, so a different person is going to share each of those Sundays. These are people who have found their story and are living it with passion. It's going to be a blast. I hope to see you Sunday.
If we all light up, we can scare away the dark.